Well, good afternoon there. This is Joe Van Cleave. Welcome to another episode of the Typewriter video series. In this video, which is episode 6, we're going to talk about traveling with your typewriter. Now, I had hoped to be able to shoot this video out in some venue that would kind of illustrate traveling with your typewriter, but today in New Mexico we have what they call a high wind warning, which, if you've seen the movie Dune, you know essentially means if you take the entire volume of sand in the southwest and throw it up into the sky, that's what we have. So we're going to do this indoors in my workshop garage, and I hope you enjoy this and I hope it's informative, and stick with us, please. Okay, so when we're talking about traveling with typewriters, well, first of all, let's talk about the three general classifications of typewriters. There are standard typewriters, which are kind of desktop typewriters. Then there are medium portables, and then what you might call ultra portables. Standard typewriters generally aren't designed to be traveled with because they usually don't have a case with a handle. They're very big and very heavy. It's great if you have one, it's wonderful, but just think of it as a typewriter you keep fixed. And what you need, if you want to travel with a typewriter then, is you need a second typewriter at least, something more portable. And so in the portable realm of typewriters, you basically have the category of medium-sized portables and ultra portables. So let's start with the medium-sized portable typewriters. Well, in front of me is my Hermes 3000, and it has a clamshell case, a lid, if you will, that snaps right over the front of it, on top of it, with a handle. These are really nice types of typewriters, this kind of closure, because it protects the entire machine, bottom and top, keeps it clean. Now, it is a medium-sized machine. It's heavy. It probably weighs 20 pounds, I'm guessing, with a handle. So you're not going to want to be traveling, walking with it miles and miles. So these are really, traveling with a medium-sized portable is best when you're traveling by car, for instance, automobile, and you have the typewriter in the back seat or the trunk. You come to your destination, you get your typewriter out along with your accessories, which we'll talk about in a minute, and you can walk a short distance to your destination, a restaurant, coffee shop, a city park, wherever you're stopping at for typing. And so why would you want to carry a medium-sized typewriter versus an ultra portable? Well, medium-sized typewriters are going to buy you better typing quality usually, because typically the mechanisms are a little bit better engineered in a bigger size machine. You have usually much better typing feel, so the aesthetics of typing with it is much more pleasurable. And oftentimes the typewriter can be quieter on a medium-sized machine than an ultra portable, because one of the reasons is there's usually room in the body panels for more soundproofing, but also because the kind of mechanism it has is typically a little quieter. The other thing is the fact that these medium-sized typewriters give you more features usually than an ultra portable. You'll typically have tabs, and you just have more things that they can do than an ultra portable. Okay, so medium-sized portables are really good typewriters. If you're traveling by car, why not? If you got the room and you're not going to be lugging it, like you're not backpacking with it or anything like that, yeah, take up your best medium-sized typewriter and enjoy it. Okay, so we discussed medium-sized portable typewriters. Now let's talk about ultra portable, or really compact typewriters. So I have two examples. One of them is in this carry-all bag, this messenger bag, and it is the venerable, well-known as a portable, Olivetti Lettera 22. Okay, so of course I have the carriage locked, and I have the carriage return lever folded down, and it has a soft case, but the problem with these Olivettis is the zippers in the soft cases tear out. And so what I've done is I put it sideways into a messenger bag, and then the messenger bag I can carry over my shoulder. And it's pretty reliable that way. I also have a little typing pad, a rubber pad in there that I can use, but it fits inside the bag. So this is one solution. The other solution is an even smaller typewriter like the Hermes Rocket and Baby. This is an example of a rocket. And the thing with this typewriter is, like the larger Hermes 3000. It has an integral or a clamshell lid that fits over the top of the typewriter, and with pushing 2 buttons on the front, you can release the clamshell, and there's your typewriter. Now, the trade-off, of course, is going to be between aesthetics and feel and quality versus weight and size. The ultra portables, in the case of this Hermes, does not have tabs. It doesn't have a ribbon color selector. The carriage return lever is very short, almost too short. Most of these ultra portables have a clanky kind of sound to them, metallic. The typing quality may not be as good as a medium-sized machine. If you get an Olivetti Lettera 22 in good shape and that's been well serviced, they can be excellent typewriters. They can be almost as good as a medium-sized portable. Some of your Japanese, your Brothers, your Silver Seikos, and some of your others are really good. But again, they're not going to be as good as a medium-sized machine, but they're nice and portable and lightweight. Okay, so you've decided on taking a typewriter out in public. There's the issue of the sound of the typewriter, okay? Again, the sound varies by make, model, and type, and individual sample. As I said earlier, usually your medium-sized portables are a little bit quieter than your ultra portables. It also depends on what your venue is. If you're typing in a small, enclosed little public space, any kind of a typewriter is going to be more noticeable than if you're outside in a park or something where the sound of it's just going to be drowned out by the natural ambient noise around you. So that's kind of the choice there. So now that you've decided on the kind of typewriter you're going to take with you, you're going to need some accessories to go along with it. So you might, first of all, if you're traveling with an ultra portable, you might consider one of the accessories to be your travel bag if it fits in a bag, right? Like this little messenger shoulder bag. Another example of a kind of accessory you might be taking with you is a pad of some kind, a little rubber pad. These are handy. Put on a tabletop in a coffee shop and your typewriter won't slide around as easy. And they fold up really nicely and they'll go in your messenger bag. Actually, they're handy for padding the typewriter in the messenger bag to keep it protected better, right? So obviously you're going to need some typing paper. I like this Mead general purpose typing paper, as I mentioned on my blog before. I like to carry a paper binder. And the current pad of typing paper I'm using, I usually take the cardboard backing out of an old legal pad and I put it in the back of this pack of paper. Because when you get down to just a few sheets left, the paper just being in a plastic baggie is going to easily get bent and wrinkled and all that. So it kind of protects the paper using a legal pad cardboard backing. But I always also carry a couple sheets of my backing paper. And on this one that I have in the Hermes, what I've done is I'm using this yellowish green engineering paper, grid paper on one side, blank on the bottom, on the back side. But what I've done is I've drawn heavy lines about 1 inch in from the top and bottom edge. And you can see those lines on both sides. And as backing paper, when you have it behind the regular typing paper, you can actually see that line coming up on the bottom and kind of tell when the end of the paper is. So the backing paper protects the platen. It gives you a better imprint on the paper you're typing on, and it quietens the noise down a little bit. But it also, these lines I've drawn helps you define where the top and bottom borders are a little bit better. Now I also, of course, have my usual bulldog clip. Not only does it keep my papers together in my little folder, but as I indicated in a previous video, when you're typing out outside, it's common to have wind, and unless it's the kind of wind we're having today in New Mexico, just about any other kind of wind, you can take the bulldog clip and clip it to your paper there, and it usually keeps it weighted down and keeps it down there so the wind doesn't flip the paper over like that when you're typing. So bulldog clips are real handy for that reason. So I have a binder with a bulldog clip, I have my backing paper, and I have my typing paper, and I keep that all together, and that fits in my shoulder bag along with my portable typewriter and my pad. Now you also would need some correction tape. Here's one over here. I was looking for that. I use the Bic Whiteout brand, the long, skinnier type of correction tape, right? So nobody's perfect. You always got to have to make corrections. And then another accessory you might want to think about is, well, okay, if you're carrying your phone with you, you can always, if you don't know how to spell a word, you can look it up. But if you're trying to do this sans internet, right? No internet, or maybe you're out somewhere where there's no internet, how about an electronic dictionary, right? A little portable little dictionary thingy in that. You can look up your words if you don't know how to spell them, or take a little pocket dictionary with you. That's kind of fun, right? So those are typical examples of the kind of accessories you might want to take with you when you're typing. Well, we've talked about the options you have as options for what kind of typewriter to take, accessories you might need for typing. So why type instead of keyboarding? Well, there's several reasons. Number one, you might not have currently at this time a functioning mobile computing device. Maybe your laptop broke. Maybe it doesn't really work all that well. Maybe the batteries are terrible and it just doesn't have the power capability. Maybe you're out at the cabin or the lake and there's no electricity to plug in and keep your laptop charged, right? Maybe you like writing from paper better than electronic. Maybe you're just a paper person. But maybe also you have terrible handwriting like I do. And so perhaps you need to type in order to make it legible, right? Those are all reasons. Another good reason is the process of typing is just different than keyboarding, and maybe you enjoy that. I would hope that you have real reasons to need to type in public to take a typewriter out. I hope it's not just an affectation, right? But having said that, it's also okay to be a typewriter evangelist, right? Go out, have fun with your typewriter, and make typewriters visible to the rest of the world. Well, finally, let's talk about what do you do with a typewriter? Well, typewriters are for writing with. So if you're going out in the field somewhere with a typewriter, I'm really hoping that you're doing it because you actually want to write. You have a need to write. So what could you be writing with a typewriter out in public? Why would you need it? Well, okay, you could be doing a journal or a diary, a typewritten kind of private thing, and you just like typing on paper instead of writing in a journal. Understandable. Personal letter writing. Typewriting is a great way to do personal letters. It makes it purpose-felt. You want to go out, have a cup of tea or coffee, and you can get some letter writing done and have fun with a typewriter all at the same time, right? Essays. Maybe you like to type essays, and I would count typecasting as essay writing, right? So maybe you have an article for your blog and you want to work on it at a coffee shop. Great. You can do your blogging or your essay writing on a typewriter. Short stories. Maybe you're a short story author, right? Writing drafts on a typewriter is a great way to do it. And of course, you can be a novelist. Maybe you're working on your novel and you're going to just be doing rough drafting on a typewriter. And of course, poetry. Don't forget poetry. Typewriting and poetry go together, and also public type poetry, like offering to type poems for people. All of these things, and I'm sure there's a lot of other uses for typewriters in public, but this is all the reason to go out with a typewriter in public and have fun with your typewriter. It's not just for the desk at home. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got some value out of it today. And I'm going to stay indoors because it's awful dusty outside. But until next time, I hope you have a great time and take that typewriter out somewhere and enjoy it.